Why, hello, YouTube Landia. This was my first video. My name is Rebecca Farrar, and I would have one of those like pretty intro images and stuff, but I haven't figured out how to do that yet. So instead, all I have is like some stars in the background and my Taurus mug, which is backwards. But I mostly just wanted to talk about something that really lights me up, which is relationship synastry and astrology. There is nothing that I find more fascinating than how one chart put with another chart completely changes the experience of someone with someone else. Like how some people, for me, evoke maybe more anger. Some people maybe more judgment. Others just feelings of love. But these are actually constellations of different parts of our chart being lit up by someone else. The first thing to kind of understand about relationship synastry is that it's really important to pay attention to, first of all, the personal planets. So the personal planets being, the luminaries, the moon and the sun, also Mercury, especially Venus, and Mars, the planet of action and kind of sexuality and the way you move in the world. So all of those together give a really great picture around what compatibility might look like. So when I look at two charts together, I'm not saying these people are really great together because they have this and this and this, or these people are really bad together because this is happening. There's not a sense of detriment. It's more of just really appreciating the complexity that arises between those two charts and how to best kind of work with those dynamics. The other piece I find really important in synastry, and perhaps most important in relational programming in someone's birth chart, is the asteroid Juno. Juno was the wife of Zeus, Hera. She was the jealous, kind of very fearful, angry at other women type of wife, but she was actually incredibly powerful, and in her charts, she actually represents instead the place that really motivates us to be in partnership. So while the seventh house is the type of relationship that you want, the Venus in relationships really represents like a vision of love or the way that you feel connected, a love language. Mars is more of kind of what turns you on, what lights you up and inspires you in relationship. And then Juno is really what motivates you to be in partnership. So is that you're wanting a fellow adventurer? Is it that you're wanting someone to feel cozy with? All of those things really combined, in addition to kind of the emotional experience of your moon and who you are in the world as your sun, all of those really create whether something feels good in a relationship or out of alignment with who you are and what you want. The piece to understand in synastry is that synastry is where you have one chart and you put one on top of the other and you kind of line up and see which parts of someone's chart lights up for you or lights up something else. Another great thing is I've studied it called the composite chart, and this is where you actually take the midpoints of both people's chart and create a third chart that's kind of like if the relationship were a person, what would that person be like? And that composite chart is where it really gets even more juicy, because after two people have been in a relationship long enough, they're still individuals, but there's this third piece that actually becomes the more predominant experience of the relationship. And that composite chart really, to me, reveals a lot around what are the major themes and the major lessons that these people want to learn together. What planets are with the sun in that chart? How do they want to go into the world together? What is their emotional field like as a couple? Those sorts of things. Or how do they present, like the rising sign? So when you think a lot about how to relate astrology with our relationships and really make it practical, you have all these incredible tools around synastry, putting the two charts together and the composite. But there's this other element that I appreciate even more, which is that we've all, I think, had the experience of soulmates. And in my experience looking at charts, I found 5 different types of soulmates that show up. 5. It's hard to see it on my hands down. But these 5 soulmates are really incredible because it helps you appreciate the different dynamics you have with someone, but also that there's no scarcity of soulmates. It's just the type of soulmate that you want to be your partner or to be your friend or to be your business partner. And that's what's so great about synastry, is that they can be used for any sort of relationship. I was just writing myself a note to remember that, to say that more. So the different types of soulmates I noticed, and then I'll wrap this up. The first one is companion soul, and I notice this a lot with vertex relationships. So if someone's rising is with someone vertex and vice versa, vertex versa, I'm making silly astrology jokes that only I get, apparently, or I think they're clever. Okay, so the companion soul is really that experience of like someone who feels like your brother or your sister. There's just so much deep love, and it can feel sexual in nature, but it's more so like a real subtle, deep love. It's like your soul family. You've been in other lifetimes together before. You're familiar. So companion souls are great long-term partners. There's another really great long-term partner called twin soul. No, I messed that up. I meant to say healer soul. Healer soul is the one where we're actually kind of clearing karma together, and you're relating on this really deep level, and there's lots of love and nourishment, but it doesn't come in quite the intensity that we think of with other soulmate relationships. This, to me, actually represents the ideal type of long-term partner, romantically, business-wise, and friend-wise. Because in these, you learn really intense lessons together, but there's a bond holding you together, which is the bond of healing, that is more healthy for a long-term relationship than some of the other dynamics in relationships. So I'll be saying the third type, now I'll go to the twin soul. And the twin soul is kind of that sense where someone's like your other half. It really feels like they've had similar experiences. Maybe your upbringing is really similar, your life path's been really similar, but that you're learning really similar lessons this lifetime. And so there's like a twinning effect where it really feels like you're looking in the mirror. These can also be great long-term partners. It's hard to be with yourself as a partner. I wouldn't want to be with myself as a man. I'd be annoying. Okay, so that's twin soul. The next, I think, is the most common potent form of soulmates that we experience a lot are called karmic partners. And these are actually not meant, in my experience, to be long-term. They usually have a lot to do with Chiron, Synastry, or composite chart, where Chiron, the asteroid of kind of an achiness or these wounds that are both personal and collective, when you're holding that in a relationship, there can be a lot of pain associated with it. And so that pain is actually in service of growth and evolution. But it does also mean that you want to be going through that pain all the time. You want the pain to be healing. And with a karmic partnership, it's healing, but usually not in the relationship itself. These are the ones that kind of these explosive love, obsessive, intense, because there's this real soul connection and a soul agreement that has to happen. And so the pull is incredibly strong. My experience of these, they were some of my happiest and also some of my worst relationships, but ultimately they were the ones that were not meant to be long-term, or if they were, there's a sense that it would be kind of a long road ahead. Now the last one, the twin soul soulmate, those are ones that I don't actually believe were incarnated at the same time as. So in ancient Greece and Rome, philosophers used to talk about this, and Plato, and specifically in the Timaeus, would say a companion soul or a companion star. And to me, that's what he meant, and that's what we mean when we say twin flame. Oftentimes, I experience this as guardian angel, or it's an entity that is really, literally your other half. It's like we're in a human form here, but the part of us that is non-human and in the spiritual realm is out there, and that is actually our twin flame. So in Plato, he would talk about the companion soul and the companion star as this kind of place you whispered to for your longings and your desires, a lot about what love is. So it's this projection kind of spiritual life onto an other. And that is actually the twin flame relationship, where you may or may not meet them in this lifetime, but there is an inevitable connection. I don't have experience with this. I have a lot of experience with twin souls, but twin flame souls I do not have. I feel pretty strongly that mine is my guardian angel. That's probably too much information. Just to finish this, relationship synastry and astrology is an incredible way to really understand your relationship patterning, not only yourself, but with other people. It's an incredible learning tool. Can't tell you how much time looking at people's charts together and really helping understand how you can bring more evolution to your own path through relating, because really that's kind of what we're here for as humans. It's a lot easier to be on a mountaintop and a monk focusing only on the intrapersonal, whereas the interpersonal is where it gets really messy. And I think astrology offers a really incredible gift to navigate that messiness. That's all. I don't know if I'll do another one of these, but if you did want to learn more about charts, I do offer relationship patterning sessions, which are all about your personal chart and your own patterning, and then also synastry composite readings that are more of kind of couples consultations, where it helps to actually have 3 people involved versus just the 2. All right, bye.